This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily sports roundup. We are diving into the biggest headlines from the Final Four, a historic defensive night in baseball, and a clash of NBA titans. Let's get started.
UConn cements its Dynasty status with another title game appearance.
Adell robs 3 home runs in a single game.
Michigan turns a heavyweight matchup into a total blowout.
The Wolverines overcome a star injury to reach the final.
Axel Lendeborg vows to play through pain against UConn.
Nikola Jokic praises Wembanyama after an overtime thriller.
Adell's defense secures a narrow shutout win for the Angels.
Michigan's supporting cast shines in their Final Four victory.
Starting with UConn's dominance. The UConn Huskies are officially making the case that they are the premier program in modern college basketball. Their 7-1, 6-2 victory over Illinois wasn't just another win. It was a statement that they belong in the same breath as the historic Blue Bloods like Duke and Kentucky. Freshman Braylon Mullins was the hero of the night, hitting a massive three-pointer with less than a minute left to seal the deal. This comes just days after his legendary buzzer beater against Duke. Coach Dan Hurley has this team playing with a level of confidence that is frankly terrifying for the rest of the field. They have now reached 3 national title games in just 4 years, a level of consistency that we rarely see in the parity-driven era of the transfer portal and NIL.
The statistics backing this run are absolutely staggering. UConn is now 12-1 all-time in Final Four games, which is a winning percentage that seems almost impossible at this level of competition. Their defense has been the backbone of this entire tournament run, holding every single opponent under 66 points. They haven't even allowed a team to cross the 75-point threshold since mid-February. Senior Terrace Reed has been a force inside, averaging a double-double through the tournament and putting himself in the conversation for most outstanding player. When you combine that interior presence with the perimeter shooting of guys like Mullins, you get a team that has no obvious weaknesses. They are heading into the championship game against Michigan, looking like a juggernaut that is nearly impossible to slow down or disrupt.
Now to the diamond. In one of the most incredible individual defensive performances in recent memory, Angels outfielder Joe Adell single-handedly saved a game against the Seattle Mariners. Adell robbed not 1, not 2, but 3 potential home runs in a 1-0 victory. The most dramatic moment came in the 9th inning when J.P. Crawford launched a ball toward the right field corner. Adell didn't just catch it, he leaped, snagged the ball, and actually flipped over the wall into the first row of seats. He emerged from the crowd holding his glove up to show he still had the ball, a play that was upheld after a tense replay review. It was the kind of highlight reel effort that players dream about, especially in a game where every single run mattered so much for the final outcome.
The timing of these catches was just as impressive as the athleticism required to make them. Adell denied Cal Raleigh in the very first inning and then took away a homer from Josh Naylor in the 8th. Without those 3 plays, the Angels almost certainly lose this game, especially considering their offense only managed a single run on a Zach Neto homer in the first inning. Pitcher Jaka Kotanowicz earned his first win of the season, but he owes a huge debt of gratitude to his right fielder. The Angels' bullpen also stepped up, with Chase Silseth escaping a massive no-out jam in the 7th. It was a game defined by high-wire acts and defensive gems, proving that sometimes the best offense is a spectacular defense that refuses to let anything over the fence.
Back to the tournament. The matchup between Michigan and Arizona was billed as the game of the year, a clash between 2 number 1 seeds that promised to be an all-time classic. Instead, it turned into a complete demolition. Michigan didn't just win, they dismantled an Arizona team that many thought was the most talented in the country. The final score of 91-73 doesn't even fully capture how much the Wolverines controlled the tempo and the physical battle in the paint. Arizona coach Tommy Lloyd admitted after the game that no one had been able to do that to his team all season. It was a shocking result for a game that featured so many future NBA prospects and high-level coaching. Michigan looked like they were playing at a different speed and intensity from the opening tip.
What made the performance even more impressive was how Michigan responded to the pressure of the Final Four stage. They turned what was expected to be a heavyweight fight into a one-sided affair by the middle of the first half. The Wolverines' ability to force turnovers and convert them into easy transition points completely rattled the Wildcats. Arizona, which usually thrives on a fast-paced, high-scoring style, looked lost and out of rhythm for long stretches of the game. Michigan's Morez Johnson Jr. and Yaxel Lendeborg set the tone early, showing that they weren't going to be intimidated by Arizona's size or reputation. By the time the second half rolled around, the outcome felt inevitable, leaving fans and analysts wondering how a game with such high expectations could end up being such a lopsided affair.
Focusing on Michigan's resilience. Michigan's path to the championship game was nearly derailed by a nightmare scenario involving their star forward, Yaxel Lendeborg. Within the first 77 seconds of the game, Lendeborg picked up 2 quick fouls, forcing him to the bench. Things went from bad to worse when he landed awkwardly later in the half, appearing to injure his left leg. He had to be escorted to the locker room twice for treatment, and he ended up playing a season-low 14 minutes. For most teams, losing an All-American leader in the national semifinal would be a death sentence. However, these Wolverines proved they are far more than just a one-man show. They stayed calm, stuck to their defensive principles, and actually extended their lead while their best player was receiving medical attention in the back.
The depth of this Michigan roster was on full display as 5 different players scored in double figures. Joe Cheddar noted after the game that this team is incredibly unselfish and that any player can step up on any given night. Center Ade Mara was the primary beneficiary of the extra touches, scoring a career-high 26 points on 11 of 16 shooting. The Wolverines' defense remained aggressive, forcing 14 turnovers and holding one of the nation's top offenses in check. Roddy Gale Jr. emphasized that the team's depth allows them to plug in different guys without losing their identity. This performance sends a clear message to UConn. Even if you manage to neutralize Michigan's top star, they have a supporting cast that is more than capable of carrying the load and winning at the highest level.
Regarding Lendeborg's health status, despite the scary moments in the first half, Yaxel Lendeborg is making it very clear that he has no intention of missing the national championship game. He suffered both a medial collateral ligament injury in his left knee and a tweaked ankle on the same play. The sight of him slapping the floor in frustration as he went down led many to believe his season was over. However, he returned for the second half wearing a knee brace and immediately knocked down 2 3-pointers to help bury Arizona. Lendeborg admitted that he was worried initially and had to talk himself through the pain in the locker room. He credited the training staff for keeping him calm and getting him back on the floor, even if he wasn't at 100%.
Looking ahead to Monday, Lendeborg knows he has a grueling schedule of treatment ahead of him. He told reporters that he expects to spend a lot of time with the trainers and away from his teammates, which he isn't happy about, but he understands it's necessary to be ready for UConn. His versatility as a 6'9" small forward is crucial for Michigan's defensive scheme, especially against a team as disciplined as the Huskies. He finished the Arizona game with 11 points and a +15 rating in very limited minutes, showing just how efficient he can be even when compromised. His determination to play through these injuries reflects the mindset of this entire Michigan team, which feels they have earned the right to be on this stage and won't let anything stand in their way.
Shifting to the NBA. The NBA world was treated to a spectacular duel between the reigning king of centers, Nikola Jokic, and the rising phenom, Victor Wembanyama. In an overtime thriller, Jokic led the Nuggets to a win with 40 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists. But it was Wembanyama's line that had everyone talking: 34 points, 18 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 blocks. After the game, Jokic doubled down on his previous praise for the young Frenchman, stating that he still believes Wembanyama will change the league and the game of basketball forever. Jokic, who is usually quite reserved, was effusive in his admiration, noting that Wemby has the potential to be the most unique player to ever play the game. It was a passing of the torch moment, even if Jokic still holds the crown.
Wembanyama's impact is already being felt across the league, as he has entered the conversation for best center despite being so early in his career. The Spurs are using these close losses against elite teams like Denver as a learning experience, with Wembanyama at the center of their development. His ability to protect the rim while also facilitating the offense and shooting from deep is something the league has never seen in a player of his height. Even though the Spurs are still gaining experience, Wembanyama's individual brilliance is making them a must-watch team. Jokic mentioned that playing against him is fun because of the unique challenges he presents. As Wembanyama continues to evolve, he is quickly becoming an MVP candidate and a player who could define the next decade of professional basketball.
More on Adell's heroics. The Angels' victory over the Mariners was a masterclass in outfield defense, specifically from Joe Adell. His 3 home run robberies were the difference in a game that ended 1-0. The highlight that will be replayed for years was his 9th-inning catch near the foul pole, where he literally disappeared into the crowd to secure the final out of the inning. This kind of defensive performance is rare in the modern game, where home runs are so frequent. Adell's ability to track the ball to the wall and time his leaps perfectly kept the Mariners off the scoreboard entirely. It was a performance that energized the home crowd at Angels Stadium and provided a much-needed boost for an Angels team looking to find its footing early in the season.
This defensive showcase tied the weekend series at 1 game apiece, setting up a high-stakes rubber match. Adell's teammates were clearly inspired by his effort, with the pitching staff feeding off the energy of those spectacular catches. In a low-scoring affair, a single mistake can often lead to a loss, but Adell ensured that even the Mariners' best contact didn't result in runs. The sheer difficulty of robbing 3 home runs in a single game cannot be overstated. It requires perfect positioning, elite speed, and incredible verticality. For Adell, this game serves as a reminder of his immense physical tools and his potential to be a Gold Glove caliber defender. The Mariners will certainly be hitting the ball a little further away from right field in the next matchup to avoid another robbery.
Finally, Michigan's team effort. While the headlines often focus on the stars, Michigan's victory over Arizona was truly a triumph of the supporting cast. With Yaxel Lendeborg limited to just 14 minutes, the rest of the roster had to step up in a massive way. Ademara was the standout, providing a career-best 26 points, along with 9 rebounds and 3 blocks. He anchored the paint and gave Michigan a scoring threat that Arizona simply couldn't contain. Point guard Elliot Cadeau also played a vital role, recording a double-double with 13 points and 10 assists. He kept the offense moving and ensured that the ball found the open man, leading to 22 assists on 33 made field goals. It was a clinic in team basketball that overwhelmed a very talented Arizona squad.
The defensive effort was just as balanced, as Michigan held Arizona to just 36.6% shooting from the field. Freshman Trey McKinney added 16 points and was part of a perimeter defense that never let Arizona's guards get comfortable. The Wildcats, who came into the game averaging over 86 points, were held nearly 14 points below their season average. Michigan's ability to maintain their intensity despite foul trouble for several key players, including Morez Johnson Jr. and Mara, showed their mental toughness. They took a 16-point lead into halftime and never looked back, even when Arizona tried to make a run. This collective effort has given Michigan a huge boost of confidence heading into the final, knowing they have multiple ways to win even when their primary options are sidelined.
That wraps up our sports roundup for today. Be sure to follow us for the next daily briefing on the stories that matter most. Thanks for listening.